Jeopardy! Star Ken Jennings has been asked a question that, unlike in most cases, he didn't appear to have a buzzer-fast response for. The host, who in 2004 became its longest-winning contestant ever, was asked if he prefers his current role or playing. Ken, 48, took questions from the audience in a rare behind-the-scenes video on Thursday while taping Jeopardy! The fan he called on did not mince words and asked, "Contestant or host better?" "Contestant or host better," Ken said back, striking a thinker's pose while standing near the front of the stage. He began, "Well, I do know now that contestant pays better per episode," as the crowd laughed. "Contestant is much more stressful though. Imagine a job where you can be fired every half hour. The job security is not great," he joked, as 2 out of 3 players lose per episode. "I do like the more relaxed vibe behind the podium," he concluded. "But the job's just as hard, I have to say." Fans flooded the comments section on Instagram after Ken opened up, "He's so damn good. Brilliant contestant and host. I am thinking Alex, Trebek, would be pleased. Truly. Alex would be proud. I love that he's the host, it just feels right," wrote another. "Literally could not have been a better option than Ken to continue Alex's role and legacy as Jeopardy host. The best," agreed a third. "We love you, Ken," wrote a fourth. "I would love to know how many questions he knows the answers to, without even looking," wondered a fifth. Another, eating yesterday's lunch, accused, "Can we for the love of God just keep Ken as the sole host of Jeopardy? Mayim is a decent actress but she's just not the right fit for this show." While another tough customer accused the now host of incorrect verbiage, lectern. "One stands on a podium. The piece of furniture one stands behind is a lectern. Where else but on a Jeopardy! Feed could I get away with being this pedantic?" However, the Jeopardy! Podiums do have risers to stand on, and are called as much by the show, so it would seem like a moot point. It's also one Ken has clapped back about on his personal website. Under an FAQ section that says they're lecterns not podiums, he responded, "Shut up." Ken's 74-game run in 2004 resulted in $2.5 million, still the longest streak ever. He was a then 30-year-old software engineer who as a result changed the game he now hosts, proving super streaks were possible. 1 year earlier, longtime producer Harry Friedman lifted the 5-day win cap, as before then, 5-day winners would bow out for the Tournament of Champions, and get a car. Over the summer, Ken and actress Bialik, 46, were announced as the permanent replacements for the late, great Alex, who had hosted since 1984 and was said to be paid $10 million a year. Alex tragically passed away from pancreatic cancer at age 80 in 2020, leaving huge shoes to fill. For over 2 decades, Ken Jennings has been a name synonymous with Jeopardy! First introduced to the world in 2004 as the mild-mannered software engineer who went on an unprecedented 74-game winning streak, Jennings cemented his legacy as the show's greatest contestant. But in recent years, he's stepped into a very different role, one once filled by the iconic Alex Trebek, as Jeopardy's full-time host. Now, in a rare and refreshingly candid interview during a fan Q&A at a charity event in Seattle, Jennings opened up about something many fans have always wondered: does he prefer being a contestant or hosting the show? The answer, as it turns out, is far more layered than expected. They're like apples and calculators. When asked the question by a longtime fan during a Q&A, Jennings chuckled and took a thoughtful pause before responding. "That's like asking if I prefer flying the plane or being a passenger in first class," he said. "Both are thrilling in very different ways. But if I'm being totally honest, the contestant in me is always just a little restless." Jennings went on to describe how hosting Jeopardy! Feels like piloting an incredibly complex and beloved machine. "When I'm hosting, every moment matters. Timing, pronunciation, judging whether an answer is acceptable, staying alert to the flow of the game. It's exhilarating, but also high stakes. You can't mess up a clue. And the contestants are depending on you to steer the game correctly." But he admitted that the adrenaline rush of being a contestant is something he still dreams about. "Being a contestant is like intellectual combat. There's a rush you can't replicate, the thrill of buzzing in, the anticipation of hearing Alex say, 'That is correct.' That stuff doesn't leave your system, even after 20 years. The legacy of Alex Trebek. Part of what makes this conversation so meaningful is Jennings' deep respect for the late Alex Trebek, who hosted Jeopardy! For 36 years before passing away in 2020. "Alex made it look effortless, but now that I'm in the chair, I realize just how much of a master he was," Jennings said. "He had this calm, almost surgical precision, but there was warmth behind it. I still hear his voice in my head when I host. According to Jennings, the challenge of living up to Trebek's legacy weighs heavily on him. There are days I think, I'm not supposed to be sitting here. Then I remember Alex chose to keep Jeopardy going, no matter what. He wanted the game to endure. So every time I walk out on that stage, I try to channel what he brought to it: intelligence, humility, and a love for the contestants. A shocking confession. In perhaps the most surprising part of the conversation, Jennings revealed something even his longtime fans didn't know: he once briefly considered turning down the hosting job. Back when the guest host trials were happening, I wasn't sure I was right for it. I had imposter syndrome. I thought, what if I'm only good at answering questions, not asking them? Ultimately, it was his wife and children who encouraged him to go for it. My wife said, "If you love this game as much as I know you do, you won't let it go without trying." She was right. Hosting Jeopardy is not something I ever dreamed of, but now, it's something I'm proud of every single day. From fan to face of the franchise. Jennings' journey from fan to contestant to co-host, and now sole host, of Jeopardy, has been one of the most organic evolutions in television history. But it hasn't come without criticism or pressure. Social media will always have opinions. I see them, sometimes too much. There are viewers who loved mayim, bialik, or who think no one should have replaced Alex. I get it. But I'm not trying to be Alex. I'm just trying to give this game, the game I love, the care it deserves. That humility is part of what has made Jennings a fan favorite again, even as he's stepped into the biggest shoes in quiz show history. The final verdict: contestant or host? After some reflection, Jennings finally gave a definitive, if diplomatic, answer. At this point in my life, I think I prefer hosting. I get to witness brilliance every single day. These players blow me away with what they know. And being the person who gets to say, "Let's play Jeopardy," that's still surreal to me. But then, with a sly grin, he added, "That said, if they ever do another Tournament of Champions for hosts, I'll be the first to sign up." The audience erupted in laughter and applause, and Jennings gave a playful shrug. "I'll never stop being a contestant at heart. It's in my DNA." A bright future for Jeopardy. With Jennings at the helm, Jeopardy continues to thrive. Ratings remain strong, and the show is finding creative ways to stay fresh, from second chance tournaments to Celebrity Jeopardy and new fan engagement initiatives. Ken Jennings, now 51, shows no signs of slowing down. And while he may never again grip a signaling device and stare down a daily double as a contestant, he's clearly found his place in the game's evolving story. The best part? He concluded. No matter what role I've played, player, host, even guest on Jeopardy, the greatest of all time, it all comes from the same love, a love for learning, for trivia, and for the weird joy of answering in the form of a question. And with that, Ken Jennings reminded us all why he remains not just the face of Jeopardy, but its heartbeat.